My best advice to incoming students is to be open and to stay open. The students I love are the ones I meet before they've made a decision even, and they'll meet me in sort of a fair, university fair, or on a visit to the campus, and I'll say, what are you interested in? And they'll say, no. They have no idea, and they're so scared to admit that they're not sure what they want to do. And then I'll meet some that will give me an answer. And then I can see that that's literally the thing that they've been saying over and over. And so the advice is, here you had the opportunity I didn't have, that I fought for, which is a place where you can take a different direction. You can come in thinking you want to do one thing, and it's not impossible in that first year to just experiment, open up, see what other things you can do. We encourage that. Were you always interested in philosophy? Take a class in philosophy and see if you like that, right? What about a language? You really wanted to understand a bit more about Indigenous language and culture? Take a class. We're not committing to that, but what you're doing is remaining open to the idea that this could be something that I love. And you can mix it up here. It's so much easier. You don't have to fight. You can say, I want to do this weird thing and that weird thing, and it can come together. From the beginning of a class to the end of a class, if I can have students see in themselves and reflect, I grew so much. That's what I'm interested in. What did you learn about you? What did you learn about your capacity and your ability? For me to send them out of the university with that kind of confidence and the ability to understand they may not have met something, a new app, a new technology, it doesn't matter. They know they can face it, and they've dealt with it before, and they will deal with it again, and they will succeed.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining University of Toronto Mississauga's Discover Day. It's so awesome to see that we have folks tuning in from all across the country, but also from different parts of the world. My name is Alicia Singh, and I'm a student recruitment officer here at the University of Toronto Mississauga. And today I'm joined by two of my lovely colleagues. We have OJ, who is also a fellow recruiter, and we have Melissa, who is a current student. So I'm going to pass things over so both of them can introduce themselves. We'll start off with you, OJ.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Nice to meet you all. As Alicia just mentioned, my name is OJ. I am the Diversity and Recruitment Admissions Officer here at University of Toronto Mississauga campus. And we're going to be moderating a little bit closer to the end. So all of the questions that you're asking, we're going to be hopefully able to ask Melissa and Alicia a little bit later. So please make sure your questions are in the chat. And other than that, I'm going to pass it to Melissa.
Thank you, OJ. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa, and I'm a fourth-year student at UTM, and I'm doing a psychology specialist and a biology minor.
For today's presentation, I'm going to give you a quick overview about the University of Toronto Mississauga, just to give you an idea of what all you can expect when you are a student here with us. After that, Melissa is going to take over and give us a virtual campus tour to share what it's really like to be a current student here, the different buildings, the different resources that you're definitely going to be frequenting. After that, we are going to come back live, OJ, Melissa, and myself, and we're going to do a live QA period where we'll be able to answer any questions you folks may have. Throughout the presentation, if you do have any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat, and I have a huge team of colleagues behind the scenes who will definitely be able to help address any questions you may have. So that being said, I'm going to say bye to OJ and Melissa. And I'm going to begin with a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So, the University of Toronto, we have three distinct campuses. And what does that really mean? Well, it means that you have the opportunity of choosing which of those three campuses you'd like to study at. Irrespective, you will be receiving the same top high quality education and you will be graduating with a University of Toronto degree. As a recent alumna myself, I can definitely vouch and say that the campus you study at will not be listed on the degree itself. But for those of you who are kind of either you've applied to all three campuses or you're deciding which campus to apply for if you haven't applied yet, well, let's give you a little bit overview of what the University of Toronto Mississauga has to offer. For those of you who are going to be flying in from outside of Ontario or outside of Canada, you're actually going to be flying into the Toronto International Pearson Airport, which is located in Mississauga, which is about 20 minutes away from our campus. We're about 30 minutes west from Toronto, so we're about 30 minutes away from the downtown core. Now, here at the Mississauga campus, we are a growing community. We have over 15,000 undergraduate students, and our students have the opportunity to study from one or more of 180 different undergraduate programs that span across over 18 academic departments. We also do offer a lot of specific and unique programs here, which I'll just touch on shortly. So this is a quick little snapshot about all the things I love about UTM, but we are still missing a lot of other hidden gems, which you'll get to know a little bit more about throughout Melissa's presentation and our QA. So here at U of T, we really want to ensure that we do give our students the opportunity to engage with experiential learning opportunities, which means that whenever possible, you will have the opportunity to gain that hands-on knowledge integrated with your theoretical academic experience. This could either happen through internships, job placements, research opportunities, and so much more. We also do have unique and dynamic programs to our specific campus, and that is communication, culture, information, and technology, forensic science, and theater and drama studies. With being Canada's largest university, it means that we do have ample amount of resources and extracurricular activities to really ensure that our students have the opportunity to thrive and really build themselves as not only professionals in the academic lens, but also as global citizens. We do have a social campus community, and what that really means is that we strive to make sure we have your representation on campus. This can either look through gender, culture, special interest, or religion. If we don't have something quite that speaks to who you are as an individual, you can definitely go ahead and create a club or an organization that speaks to who you are. And again, we are a global citizen, so we do have students who come from all across the world to be a part of our growing student community. And what that means for you is that you're going to have nothing short of diversity throughout your experience here, through the different food, languages, culture, music spoken on campus. You're definitely going to be meeting people from all across the world. So with that being said, I'm going to pass things over to Melissa, and she's going to give us a glimpse of what it's like to be a student here.
Thank you, Alicia. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Melissa, and I'm a fourth-year student studying psychology and biology. And I'm also a student ambassador in the Office of Student Recruitment and Admissions. Some interesting facts about me. I went to Cawthor Park Secondary School, where I was a part of the Regional Arts program as a vocal major. And I've been singing since I was 8 years old. And since then, I've been a part of multiple choirs and done multiple solo performances. Throughout the tour, I'll talk about how I like to get involved on campus, what each building has to offer, as well as my favorite places to be on campus. The first stop will be CNEF and Innovation Complex. So CNEF is home to the Student Recruitment and Admissions Office, and this is where I work as a student ambassador. This is where students can ask any questions related to admissions, for example, how to apply to UTM, and this is where we also run campus tours. So each building is affiliated with academic departments, and in CNEF, the academic departments include commerce, management, economics, and some master's programs. CNEF is also home to one of the larger lecture halls on campus. This is KN 137. This is where I had my second year neuroscience class, and this lecture seats up to 300 students. At UTM, students have lectures that are taught by the professor and labs and tutorials taught by teaching assistants that are more hands-on. And generally, first-year lectures have between 300 to 500 students, whereas labs and tutorials are around 25 to 30 students. We also have the Office of the Registrar in CNEF, and this is where students can go to for any academic or financial aid. I come to the registrar when I need help planning my schedule or I have questions regarding tuition for domestic students. I also came to the registrar for help switching my program of study. I was originally pursuing a psychology major and a linguistics minor because I wanted to pursue speech-language pathology. I've always had a passion for helping others, and science was always one of my favorite subjects in school. After taking a second-year anatomy and physiology course, this is when I realized I wanted to pursue medical school instead and work towards becoming a gastroenterologist. And with the help of an academic advisor, I ended up dropping my linguistics minor for a biology minor and changed my psychology major to do a general psychology specialist. And since COVID, we now have Ask Registrar, and this is a virtual platform to help students get into contact with an academic or financial aid advisor. You'll find that many of the buildings on campus are connected, so we're going to head over to the Davis building next. If we were on campus, I would use the underground tunnel to get from the CNEF Center to Davis. So the William G. Davis building is the largest building on campus and has several resources available for students. The academic departments in Davis are chemistry, biology, physics, and earth sciences. I've had all of my biology labs in Davis, and in my experience, first-year biology students work with several organisms in labs such as crickets, E. coli, and potato bugs. And in my upper years, I took a dissection lab. In my third year, I was in a lab where I dissected a shark and a cat. And my chemistry labs were online, and in online labs, you do lab simulations called labsters, and or watch a demonstration of the lab with the TA. Within Davis, we also have the Career Center, and this is where students can go for any assistance preparing for jobs and or graduate education. I've gone to the Career Center for help looking over my resume and personal statement for grad school, and plan on going for a mock interview to prepare for medical school. I mentioned a few slides ago that I would love to be a doctor someday, and to help me reach my career goal, I've been trying to get relevant work/volunteer experience, for example, volunteering at a hospital. And I feel going to the Career Center for assistance will help navigate students, help navigate the professional journey, even if it's been changed. Next, we have the International Education Center, and this can help international students, for example, getting a study permit, and they also offer study abroad opportunities. I myself have been accepted to the University of Sydney in Australia. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I had to cancel my exchange, but I will be applying again for this coming winter. And if I were to be going to Australia this term, I would be going from February to June. And I chose that semester because in Australia, it's summer there, and that this is our winter, so I'm not a fan of the cold. Next, we have the Experiential Education Unit, and this helps to provide students with opportunities outside the classroom. And one of these opportunities is the Research Opportunity Program, or the ROP. I've never taken these myself, but I may be pursuing one of these, the course code Psych 299, in a behavioral neuroscience lab where the professor does research on naked mole rats. And I also want to mention the importance of getting involved in research. I've done research in a social personality lab, behavioral epigenetic lab, and I'm now doing my own project in a neuroscience lab where I'm working with zebrafish. And there's so many research opportunities available for students across all programs of study, so it's not just limited to the sciences. We also have lots of choices for grabbing food. My personal favorite in Davis is Thai Express. In my second year, I would go with my friend every Wednesday. It was kind of our thing, and I got like a little too obsessed with it. I would get the chicken pad Thai every single time. And to burn off the chicken pad Thai, I would head to the Recreational Athletic and Wellness Center. So I find one of the best ways to help me de-stress and improve my mood is to get some exercise in. Our facility includes an 8-lap pool, 2 floors of workout equipment, 400-meter track, 2 large gyms, and smaller rooms where students can attend classes such as yoga, dance, and martial arts. My personal favorite part about the gym is running on the 400-meter track and using the workout equipment. And the Rock is also included in your tuition. And to access the gym, you just show the front desk your student card, or we call it your T card. And since COVID, we've also been offering students online classes. Our next building we're going to be going to is the Communication, Culture, and Technology Building, or CCT. So in the CCT building, the only academic department in this building includes the Communication, Culture, Information, and Technology program, or CCIT. And within CCIT, we have CC 1080, and this is one of 2 large lecture halls on campus. This specific lecture hall holds a maximum of 500 students, and you'll most likely have at least one of your first year classes in this hall. For me, I've had my anthropology, psychology, and statistics class here. And within CCT is the IT service desk, where students can go pick up their T card. And to do this, I recommend going as soon as possible. And it's also where you can go if your devices stop working. For me, I've gone to the IT desk for help when my laptop stops working. We're going to head over now to the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center, or the library. So just a fun fact, across all of U of T's campuses, there's 44 different libraries. And at the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center, we have the Reference and Research Desk. And here's where there are specific librarians for each program area that can help you with your schoolwork. Directly next to it, we have the Information and Loans Desk, where you can borrow any sort of study materials, such as laptop chargers, DVD players, and headphones. You can also book study spaces here, and I find this really, really helpful during exam season or when I'm preparing for a group presentation. And overall, the library is a very popular spot, especially during exam season. Specifically during exam season, it's open 24/7. And last but not least, it wouldn't be a study space without a coffee place. So right outside the library, we do have a Starbucks. And now we're going to go to our next building, which is the Instructional Center, or IB. So in IB, there's no academic departments, just lots of lecture halls. And one of the largest lecture halls in IB and on campus is IB 110. And this lecture hall seats up to 500 students. And this is where I had psychology, anthropology, sociology, and linguistics. You're also almost guaranteed to have one of your first year classes in here as well. Directly outside, we have the lecture hall IB 120, and this seats about 300 to 400 students, and this is where I had my second year developmental psychology class. And the lecture halls on the second and third floor seat around 25 to 50 students and are mainly used for smaller lectures and tutorials. And this building always smells like food because there's some really good food options here. So we have a Subway, a bento sushi, a quesada for Mexican food, and a vending machine that apparently makes really, really great coffee. And then right outside IB, we have the UTM shuttle bus, which really makes it convenient for students to travel to and from University of Toronto Mississauga to University of Toronto St. George. The shuttle bus is also free of charge for UTM students specifically. And Maonan, or MN. So Manjaway and Maonan is our newest building on campus, and the academic departments in this building include sociology, history, language studies, philosophy, and political science. And a fun fact, a lot of movies take place on campus, especially in MN. And some of these include Downsizing with Matt Damon and Zombies 2. And I actually watched the filming of Zombies 2 with one of my psychology professors. We also have in this building the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills Center, and this is a really great resource for essay writing, study skills, math help, and English help. And I've gone here for help with all of my biology, psychology written assignments, statistics help, and my chemistry lab reports. And for every assignment I've gone assistance with, I did really well on. We also offer Facilitate Study Groups, or FSGs, which are groups led by upper year students who go over the concepts from lecture that week. We're now going to head over to the next building connected to MN, which is Deerfield Hall. So the academic departments in Deerfield Hall include psychology, theater and drama, and computer science, mathematics, and statistics. And for any of you who are going to be taking any sort of math, there is a math help room run by professors and teaching assistants that can assist you with any sort of problems. I mentioned that I was taking psychology, and I did have my first year psychology lab in Deerfield Hall. And this is where we had got to learn about topics like meditation, conditioning, and unconscious biases. And we also have our second Starbucks in Deerfield Hall because the one by the library got so busy. And our final stop of the tour is going to be the Student Center. So the Student Center is the hub of all student life on campus. The UTMSU, or the University of Toronto Mississauga Student Union, can be found here. And one of the events that they host is FROSH, which is first year orientation, and they also assist incoming students with setting up a health and dental plan. There's also lots of clubs and academic societies on campus. I myself am part of the UTM Catholic Club, Arundel Biology Society, and PAWS. This is Psychology Association for Undergraduate Students at Arundel. And each of these clubs has meetings and hosts events that students can join, and I highly recommend joining a club that you find interesting. Or you can even create your own. I mentioned at the beginning of the tour that I'm a bit of a choir nerd, and at the moment, I'm currently collaborating with a friend of mine to create our own chamber choir on campus. The Student Center is also connected to the Blind Duck Pub, where you can buy food and chat time. And chat time is a really popular place to grab some bubble tea, and I highly recommend getting the quesadillas at the Blind Duck Pub. The Blind Dog Pub also has pub nights as well. For example, in my second year, I went to a Halloween pub night on campus with a couple of my friends. And then we have, right outside Student Center, we have the My Way or Mississauga Transit Bus Terminal. And we have our My Way U passes, or where we pick up at the Student Center. And it's included in our tuition, so we don't have to pay additional fare. And this is the only U of T campus to offer this amenity. And the buses can take you to several locations really easily, such as Kipling Station on the Toronto Public Transit line, Clarkson Go Station, and Square One Shopping Center. So this actually brings me to the end of my tour. I hope everyone got to learn a little bit more about the UTM campus through my lens as a current student. And there's so much that UTM can offer you, and I hope you choose to attend classes here this fall. Thank you for listening. Now I'm going to bring it back to Alicia.
Thanks, Melissa. That was definitely great to listen to hear what your experience was like as a student. So OJ, I see the chat was pretty busy. What questions do you have for us?
Yes, we'll get to our first one on the screen. And the question is, that's from Jeremiah. I'm wondering if classes are all in person or online, or does it depend on which one we choose on Acorn?
Yeah, so definitely we are offering a hybrid approach for our students, which means that most of our courses instruction are going to be in person. However, there's going to be select courses in different programs that will offer the online component to their classes. So again, it really just depends on which courses you need to take for your program and what is available to you at the time of course selection. So I see that you mentioned Acorn already. So when you are going to be enrolling in your courses onto Acorn, and for anyone who is not familiar, Acorn is going to be your student portal. It's going to be where everything is housed, from your financial to your academics, everything of that nature. And so when you are going to be enrolling into your courses, you'll be able to see a code there which will signal if it's going to be in person or if it's going to be online.
Awesome. Great. And we got another question. Also, Jeremiah, do we need a T card for the bus, Alicia?
Yeah, most definitely. So when you do become a student here at UTM, included into your tuition is going to be the bus pass, which is, as Melissa mentioned, it's going to be the opportunity for you to take the public transportation system in Mississauga. Now, in order to verify that it is actually our UTM students who are using that bus pass, you're going to have to show your student ID at the same time so that they can cross-reference the names to make sure that it matches.
Awesome. And in between that, I'm going to ask Melissa a question, because you mentioned you dissected a shark, which is very interesting. What's something else you've done could be in class or just generally in the school, that maybe other people would love to hear that's just really interesting?
So I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation the importance of getting involved in research. And one of the things I'm doing right now is an independent research project, or an IRP. And this is where you do your own project in a professor's lab. And I mentioned that I'm doing mine in a neuroscience lab where I'm working with zebrafish. And my project is really looking at food preference in zebrafish, which really hasn't been studied before. And we're also using a food dispenser that has never been tested ever in research. We designed it, it's brand new. So it's just been like a troubleshooting process, but it's really been interesting, not only doing a brand new research topic, but also using new research machinery.
Awesome. I'm thinking of Finding Nemo when she said zebrafish, but I don't know if that's even from the movie. Another question we have, I'm just wondering, is the surrounding forest land utilized in classes for field experience or research? And I guess I can ask Alicia for that.
Yeah, most definitely. So of course, so our science students, they really get that opportunity to utilize the nature that is surrounding our campus. And I really love how much research you've done to know how beautiful and naturistic our campus is. So when I was a student here, I actually graduated in spring of 2020. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but I was in the sciences. And so a lot of our bio classes, when the weather was warmer, we actually would go for walks in the nature, and that's where we'd actually be checking out for different specimens. We'd go by the water to see we would actually do different test labs to see the pH levels and so forth. Melissa, I know that you're also in sciences. Have you ever used the forest or surrounding areas in your courses?
I've never had a course, either like a field course or a course actually going outside. I hope to in the future. Honestly, most of my courses are mainly anatomy and physiology based, so we don't really go outside.
Fair. I took a lot of ecology, so I guess it really just depends on which spectrum of sciences you're studying.
And it's also something that is also used in forensic science as well. So you also it's right actually in the forest, the forensic science building. So you will definitely want to see that on campus. And our next question, also thank you, Sophia, for that question. Our next question comes from Jenny. If I accept my offer in UTM, is it still possible to take classes at the St. George campus or the Scarborough campus? And will Alicia feel offended that we're taking classes at the other campus? Alicia.
So you can 110% take courses at our neighboring campuses as long as you take all of your majority, excuse me, as long as you take a majority of your course load at your home campus, which better be the University of Toronto Mississauga. So as long as you take most of them there, you can definitely take your optional classes over at Scarborough or at St. George. When I was a student, I definitely utilized that as an experience to be able to experience two different campuses. So right on our campus, I utilized the shuttle bus because we did get it free of charge. So it was a quick way for me to just hop on over to get to St. George. I would nap on the bus and then I would take my class. I actually took calculus at nighttime. I don't know what possessed me to do that, but I did that. And then I would hop on the bus back, take a good nap, come back to Mississauga, and it was all good and dandy. But you can definitely go ahead and take courses at our fellow campuses for sure.
Awesome. And I'm going to ask another question to Melissa. So in your first year, because now you're in your fourth, what would you say was the hardest part of your program for you?
That's a good question, and I think this can be applied for every program, but just the overall transition from high school to university, because it is a different style of learning. It's more independent. So I found that a bit of a struggle. My grades slipped a little bit, but that's normal. It's nothing to be worried about. And I think it's something that just takes time to help adjust to and to make it easier. I think for incoming students to get adjusted to this new learning style is to start reading the textbook in high school, because that's something that I never did. It always just kind of sat at my desk collecting dust. So I really recommend doing that, because a lot of your classes do require textbooks. Also taking good notes. Most of the professors do upload slides before class. And what I find really helpful is printing them off and then writing down additional notes that the professor says that aren't on the lecture slides. And I guess just overall time management as well, just making sure you're making time for studying, but also making time for a social life and taking care of yourself.
Good advice. I feel like, Melissa, you'd be the type to like color code your notes. Just have this interior feeling. All right, Alicia, a little bit of a more harder, difficult question. What would you say is your favorite place to eat on campus? Because Melissa already said she goes for Thai, so we have to have balanced opinions here.
You know, I've actually been waiting for this question all day long when I knew that we had this presentation, because although I've been at this campus for I did 5 years of undergrad here. This past week I actually changed my eyes and I found something new. So in Deerfield Hall, we actually have a bistro, and they revamped their menu for the return to campus, and I actually fell in love with their artisanal pizzas. It has like so many different toppings, and the price, it's less than $10. It came out to about $8 with tax, and I was mind blown, and it tastes phenomenal. So that is my favorite spot to eat on campus.
You're making me hungry.
Tried that one yet. I will say, I know no one's asked, but just a short plug. Mary Brown's Chicken is currently having a food truck on campus, and it is the greatest invention in terms of chicken made to man. So if you're on campus, definitely drop by the food trucks that come in and they regularly show up. All right, on to another question. This one is for Alicia, and it's from Daisy. When does course registration begin?
Yeah, so course registration and enrollment begins in the summertime. So when you do become a student here with us, your first year, you're going to be contacted by the office of the registrar, and they're going to let you know of all the different new and upcoming sessions that are going to be hosted by our academic leaders and advisors. And they're actually going to give you through different workshops to show you how it's like to enroll into courses, what are the different courses you need to enroll into, and so all the time, course enrollment, irrespective of which program and which year you're in, it's going to happen in the summertime. You're going to have a specific date for when it's first year, second year, third year, and it's going to be categorized by your last name in terms of when you actually get to sign on for that day. It's kind of like Hunger Games. The minute 9 a.m. comes up and your last name is in that category, you'll hop on and you quickly enroll into everything into your cart. But yeah, it always happens in the summer.
All right, we'll ask another question from Daisy. Are there free printers available on campus? I think what they're just trying to ask is how do I get my stuff printed?
Yeah, so we actually have two different places where you can print items on campus. The first one is through the Student Center. It's a little bit more on the cheaper side. They do have the printer. They have color and black ink paper printing. That's where I printed out a lot when I was a student, but you can also upload money into your T card, which is your student card, and you can actually print in the library. The library was a lot more convenient also just because they have so many more printers available, but you do have two different spots on campus where you can print out.
Awesome. All right, and another question from PC. What is PEY co-op in UTM?
That's a great question. So PEY, for those folks who aren't aware, PEY is the professional experience year here at UTM. Now, this is available for our computer science students, and that just means that they'll get a year where they can actually go into the workforce and they can build up the skill sets, gain a full-time salary, and then just kind of test out what is the right career path for them. But the folks who are not in computer science, they're not disadvantaged by any means. None of our programs here at UTM require you to take co-op as a requirement to graduate. So they're always optional extracurricular opportunities available. So for the folks who are looking to gain that kind of hands-on experience, we do offer ROPs, which are the research opportunity programs. These can be for 4 credits, and they're across every single program area of study. So you can study it in the sciences, you can actually study it in the arts and so forth. I had a friend who actually did her research in the Italian studies, and she researched all the different parts of Italy and where the pasta originated from and the different techniques that they used. So you can experience it that way. And we also do have internship courses, which can be gained for a credit. So you'll just do all the course load and it will go towards your degree for graduation. And last but not least, we also do facilitate the conversations for our students who do want to do an internship in the summertime. So we'll have different employers come out, speak to our students, and recruit them for internships across business, arts, and sciences again. Now, Melissa, I know you did have a few more hands-on opportunities you discussed in your presentation, but what do you think is probably the most beneficial way that students could get involved and gain that experiential learning opportunity?
Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned before, it is really, really important to do well in school and have your courses, but it's also really important to have that experiential learning. And the first thing I'll mention is get in contact with the Career Center, because they'll really, really help you kind of narrow down what you'd like to do and help you get volunteer and work opportunities on or off campus. If you are looking for a job on or off campus as a UTM student, there is a website called CLNX, and it has job opportunities that are off campus, on campus, and also volunteer opportunities as well. I also mentioned doing research as well, and this can be across all programs of study. And to get involved in research at first, because I wasn't really known to this in my first year, I only got involved in my second year, but it would be to whatever program you're doing, let's say biology, go to the biology department, look at all the professors, see what kind of research they're doing, if they have a lab, and then email all the ones that you're interested in, be like, hey, I'm a new student, I want to get some research experience, can I just be a volunteer in your lab? And yeah, you never know where it could lead. And I think those 3 ways are probably the best ways to get some experience on campus, as well as doing your courses.
Okay, Melissa, we're going to keep you in the hot seat. Another question coming for you. what are some coming courses that you may go through the life sciences?
So definitely, you're going to be taking biology. So the course codes are Bio 151 and Bio 152. A lot of biology and chemistry courses in your upper years require chemistry. So that's Chem 110 and Chem 120. A lot of students also take first year calculus. I believe it's Math 134 and then Math 135. I believe there's a couple. Those ones are specifically, that calculus course is specifically for the life sciences. Psychology is also a really popular one to take. A lot of people double major in psych and bio, and so because there's so much overlap, so it makes it pretty easy to memorize course content. And then, yeah, besides that, some people take social science courses like sociology on the side or philosophy if that's something that they're interested in, or if they needed to complete their distribution requirements.
Awesome, thank you. And I read a question from Georgina from El Salvador, my best friends from El Salvador. She was just mentioning, is there any Latin American students on campus or Central America? We actually have an actual club for students on campus, and hopefully someone can put it in the chat for you. But there's a considerable amount of Latin students on campus. And then we'll go to our next question. Do first year students declare their major at the end of first year? And we can we'll go with Alicia for this question.
Yeah, so when you apply to UTM, you're going to apply to one of our admission categories. And so you're going to be starting off super, super broad. So something like life science. So in your first year, you're going to be taking the core classes to build out your skill sets, give you the academic foundation to really be able to excel. At the end of your first year, that's when you're going to declare your major, your specialization, or your minor. So think of it like a funnel approach. You're going to start off super broad and then just wind down. Now, Melissa, you also mentioned that you switched your programs quite a bit. Do you mind reminding me on which program, which majors you selected in first year?
Yeah, so originally I was doing a psychology major and a linguistics minor. And that's just done, I think I did it around April or May on Acorn. It's a really easy process. You just type in the code for the program, select on it, and then pretty much wait to hear back. It's a really easy process. And also I found switching my program of study was very easy. It also made the process a bit easier because I had the prerequisites, but also I had pretty supportive staff from the Office of the Registrar that also helped make that transition for me.
Thank you very much. And that question was Jenny. And on to Jagan. Are there meal plans or discounts for students at UTM? And we'll leave this open-ended for you, but I'd also start on Alicia's side.
Yeah, so for our students who are living in residence, you will definitely have to enroll into a meal plan. That's a given. But our folks who are not living on residence, you can actually get a meal plan as well onto your student card. So whenever you buy food on campus and you swipe your T card where all the funds will be located on, you actually get a little bit of a discount. So there is some perks to actually loading your card and getting a meal plan, even if you're not living on residence. The amounts, I'm not quite sure how much you can load and what the minimum amount is, but I know one of my colleagues can leave it in the chat for us.
Great, awesome. And we have another question I'm just going to quickly answer. Does UTM and UTSG share the same professors due to their proximity? Yes, in some cases, you may have a professor that works on both campuses. So it really also just goes to show the tri-campus nature of the university. You are getting professors at the top on whichever campus you choose, but obviously you're going to want to come visit us. So, I mean, UTM will be your spot of choice. Next question from Mita. Can international students apply for a part-time job on the UTM campus? Alicia.
Yeah, so our domestic and our international students, they get access to something called the Work Study program, which Melissa mentioned earlier. So regardless of where you're coming from, you definitely can work on campus part-time. You'll just come to our Career Center and our International Education Center, and they'll get you signed up with all the documentation and paperwork that you need. And then hopefully you could also be doing these live sessions with us one day soon.
Awesome. And let's see if I have... Okay, this is a pretty... Actually, I'm gonna mix this question in because I had another question to ask. But how easy is it to reach the different buildings on the campus? We're gonna start with Melissa, but I'm gonna mix another question in there. What is the fastest time you got from one side of the campus to the other? I don't know if you ever timed it, but we just kind of want to know.
So I'll start with your first question. Honestly, the campus at first seems really like daunting and intimidating, but like after like the first week, you realize it's just a circle, and it's really not that hard to get around. I don't know if this was mentioned, but classes at U of T start 10 minutes after the hour, so you have 10 minutes to get to your classes, and usually that's enough time. Most people just walk and they can make it there, and usually I feel like I'm pretty fast. I'm like usually like a pretty fast walker. I have like a bunch of backpacks, so I feel like that slows me down. But I feel like I'm always passing people, so maybe that's motivation to kind of speed up. I think probably about 5 minutes to get from one side to the other side of the campus. If you choose to be fully outside, for me, I'm a bit of a baby. I don't like the cold, so I go the long way and I go all through the whole circle, which is indoors, and that takes about like 8 minutes.
Awesome. I always say that campus is looking kind of like a tennis racket, has a circle at the top, and kind of stick. You'll figure it out when you get there. Alicia, question for you: what would you say is your favorite building based on just looks as it is?
That is 110% Manjue Nandonoman. And because they have the floor to ceiling windows. I had it right the first time. So they have those ceilings and it just brings in so much sunlight. It's like the best place to take photos. Either it's a selfie or if you're taking a photo of your coffee to show the aesthetic field in the background, 110% you are going to be Instagramming a photo in that building at some point throughout your undergrad.
Okay. I was going to say it's probably good for pictures. All right, Melissa, question for you about the remote learning. How has your experience been learning remotely? Do you find it easier? Is it more difficult now that you're in class?
Originally, online learning, I did find it a bit of a transition. For me, I personally prefer in-person learning because it is, you do actually get to see your classmates. It's easier to, I guess, be able to ask for help because you're right there in class and you can just raise your hand. Sometimes over Zoom, the professor can't see your hand. But as time went on, you do get used to it. And in a way, it kind of made me more independent because you can't. It's a bit harder to see your professor because it's been online. So it's kind of the responsibility is more on you now to take the initiative to actually email the professor or unmute your mic and speak up in class. I have had a couple of group projects online or presentations. Personally, I find presentations online much easier online than in person because you can have like a little script and then you feel very professional. You can also wear really, really comfy pants during the presentation as well. You can't do that in person. But overall, I do prefer in-person learning.
Gotcha. And you also slid in some tips for people who are going to be doing online learning later. Comfortable pants and notes on the side. Question from Mariana. What about residence rental if I want to stay in Mississauga? So I'm assuming you mean just about, is there residence options open for students that want to live in Mississauga campus? Alicia, if you want to kind of speak to that.
Yeah, so we have tons of different options for you to live on residence in Mississauga. In fact, I believe out of all three campuses, we have the most versatility in terms of options available for our students. We actually are approaching the March 31st deadline. So for any folks who did apply and who are interested in living in residence, please make sure you indicate yes in your Join U of T portal. And this is just simply a deadline to gauge interest and make sure you're there because you will get that first year guarantee of living on residence. Definitely. So you can live on campus, and we also do help facilitate conversations with off-campus housing, but you'll have to speak to our student housing and residence department for that.
And I know, Melissa, you said you didn't live on campus. What was your experience coming into campus? Did you drive? Did you walk? Did you skip? What was your kind of, your mode of transportation to get to campus? And also someone was mentioning parking. So maybe you can kind of speak to that.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, I never skipped a campus. Maybe one day. It may take a couple of hours, but we'll see. But I did commute. I've always been a commuter. I've always lived at home. In my first year, I did take the My Way buses. that would take about 1 to 2 hours to get to school. And then about halfway through my second year, I also work a couple jobs on the side, so end up affording money for a used car. So I got that, and that made the commute a lot easier. And there is spots available for parking. The parking passes I find are cheaper than just paying at the meter, and you combine all your pass or just a semester pass. The most popular spots are P4 and P8, those are by the gym. And then, my experience living off res was pretty good. I know that a lot of people are concerned that they won't be meeting many people, or it's harder to meet friends. And honestly, I was meeting people like the first day. Like I still have like my friend group that I met the first day. Like I talk to them all the time. And I think like obviously it is easier to meet people on if you live on res, but it's just as easy living off res, as long as you get involved, and also knowing that you have to make the initiative to talk to people as well.
And I know you're just talking about that now. So what would you say for someone that is, I guess, not living on residence? What would be like the easiest way to find other people or to meet people, Melissa?
Mm-hmm. For me, I just started meeting people in my classes. Like I would just start, and I'm really social, so I just went up and started talking to people. But I also recommend working, having a part-time job on campus called a work study, which is what I'm doing, and that's a really great way to meet students, current students. Also, joining a club I find helps a lot too. That's where you get to meet a lot of people with similar values and interests as you. And just trying to find any sort of like volunteer opportunity, and even just like seeing people in the hallway. I mean, not many people do that, but I guess if you're a social butterfly, then that's also a way that you could do that as well.
Would also say the gym is also a good way to meet people of similar interests. You know, when you can help spot someone, or playing basketball or throwing a dodgeball, it's a good way to make connections. And you did mention, residents. There is a residents talk actually today at 8 p.m. For anyone that's interested in hearing from residents and a student panel. And hopefully one of our team members will put that in the link there. The other thing you also mentioned is part-time jobs, which is a question that Mita answered. Can international students apply for a part-time job on the UTM campus? Alicia, you've been quiet for a while. Let's hear from you.
OJ, we answered this one.
Oh, my goodness, we did? My apologies then. Well, yes, the answer is yes. It's yes. Let's see if we have any other ones. Okay, here's a question. DC, have one. Could you please let us know if we're to purchase textbooks firsthand or secondhand? And we're going to go to Melissa because I feel like she has the most up-to-date current information.
Yes, that's actually a really, really great question. So for textbooks, if you you should buy them, but if you do plan on buying them, I'd recommend waiting till the first day of classes. And then that's when the professor will say whether you need them or you don't need them. Because sometimes you buy the book and you go to the first day of class and you realize they don't really need them, even though it may say so on the syllabus. So always wait till the first day, and you purchase them at the bookstore. You can buy them new, used, or you can rent them as well. I usually buy them used just because they're a bit cheaper, and I also like to keep my textbooks. They also offer electronic versions. I'm that kind of girl where I buy the hard copy just because I like to like highlight and like rip up my book. Kind of just I like to have something like something to hold while I'm reading.
Cool. The other thing you also can do is if you're a very talkative person, you can always talk to upper years because sometimes they have books that they're just kind of giving away. I was one of the fortunate ones that talked myself into getting at least 5 to 6 textbooks from an upper year that was leaving for going back to their home country, so they didn't want to take the bus. So always good to talk to people and also to connect to people through those Instagram things that show up for UTM. Great ways to meet other new incoming students. And another question from our friend from Nigeria, my home country as well. What's the easiest way to manage your schedule, and what would you say about the learning method being there for the first time? We're going to ask Melissa, or actually, we'll start with Alicia and then go to Melissa because you also study here as well.
Yeah, so for me, the easiest way to manage my schedule, so I was never a calendar person. I always tried writing in an agenda, and I would end up forgetting the agenda at home, or I would get tired of doing the color coding thing and it just wasn't working out for me. So for me, I ended up, the best way for me to do is I actually found the calendar on my laptop. And because I'm on my laptop 24/7 throughout school, in classes, doing assignments outside of class, I just started highlighting all of my chunks and I break it apart that way. And that way I can visually see, where everything is happening. When are my lectures? Okay, this is my free time. Great. I have a break in between class. I'm going to actually use my break to, one, see my friend, go to the bathroom, and it's just 2 in 1, catch a breather and see people. So that for me was a great way for me to manage my schedule, just visually seeing everything. But I know other people have other tips. So what worked for you, Melissa?
Honestly, my tips were very similar. I also like to have a schedule. I make a lot of to-do lists, and it feels really satisfying when you get to like scratch off everything on the to-do list. I just find it makes it easier to kind of keep track of things. The things I mentioned before about reading the textbook, printing off the lecture slides, it does make it a lot easier and also helps you pay attention in class. I had a psychology professor tell me to read the textbook before the lecture because the information, if you read it properly, will be ingrained in your head. So even if you're kind of dozing off, like you still be kind of be paying attention because you'll recognize the material. And yeah, again with the lecture printing off the lecture notes, it just makes it easier than like typing or writing everything out if you already have them all in your binder. And I think there's no like one way or one size fits all kind of thing. It's something that I think that you have to just experience and try out for yourself. It takes a little while, and that's normal. Like I don't want you to worry about that. Yeah, it's just something that does take time, but yeah, I think it's just making sure you're keeping top of everything, starting assignments early, and do not procrastinate. Don't listen to people that say, "Oh, just procrastinate. It's fine. I get good marks." Yeah, that won't fly in university. Yeah, just start everything and always ask for help. Make use of the professor's office hours or the TA's office hours. I bug my professors all the time. Like they know my face, they know my name. They're like, "Oh gosh, it's her again," kind of thing. So yeah, again, there's no one size fits all thing, but yeah, you utilize all the help that you can get and you'll be fine.
As Melissa said, really do use your professor's office hours. Most students don't, which also means you have a leg up with learning assignments, extra work. It's really helpful. Definitely use your office hours. I know I didn't in my first and second year, and I only started to do it in the third and fourth year. So definitely something to utilize, as well as academic support. Our final question from Mariana. You have the final official question for the evening. How long do lectures usually last? Are all the lectures always 8 hours long at the same time? That's a complete joke. And how many lectures I might have per day on average? I will go with Melissa.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could survive an 8-hour lecture. That would be a lot of brain power. Typically for first years, and honestly most classes at U of T, they run at least twice a week. So maybe you'll have a class on Monday that's 1 hour, and then a class on Wednesday that's 2 hours. That's for the same course. Specifically for life sciences, you have lectures, labs, and tutorials. For first year, specifically biology and chemistry lectures, they're 3 hours, but they are divided into 1 hour. So Monday you'll have 1 hour, Wednesday 1 hour, Friday 1 hour. And then labs and tutorials run from 1 to 1.5 hours. But yeah, no, typically students may have averages 2 classes a day. I have 3 classes on Mondays personally. But besides that, I just have 1 per day. And yeah, so yeah, you won't be in class 8 hours a day, and most students do get breaks as well.
Definitely helpful. Also, I just want to make sure if I pronounced your name wrong, I am very sorry. Please make sure you take up all grievances with Alicia. But thank you so much for all of the questions you've asked today for everyone. That concludes my portion. Alicia, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Melissa and OJ, for joining me here. So again, if you do have any further questions, or if you missed your question today, feel free to connect in with our office. Our contact information is listed over here. We also do have tons of upcoming virtual events coming up in the calendar. So one of my colleagues will definitely be able to leave a link for that below. We actually do have a current student panel coming up for any folks who are going to be studying computer science, commerce, management, and there's one more. Communication, culture, information, and technology. Feel free to come out to that session. It'll be a great way for you to be able to learn the inside scoop of what it's like to be studying within those programs. If I didn't say your program, don't worry. We have yours coming up. Just stay tuned. Keep frequenting our website, as well as keep checking up on your emails. You'll definitely see the link and the invite for that coming up. With that being said, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, good morning, your night, wherever you are in the world. Bye, everyone.